مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير.
الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا وحبيبنا وقرة أعيننا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Inshallah, I'll continue speaking about the Prophets salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhim. We mentioned in the beginning of our class about the Prophets that Allah Ta'ala said about them in Al-Qur'an Al-Kareem, وَكُلًّا فَضَّلْنَا عَلَى الْعَالَمِينَ. This ayah right over here. وَكُلًّا فَضَّلْنَا عَلَى الْعَالَمِينَ. And what does this ayah mean? This ayah means that Allah Ta'ala gave the Prophets the highest status above all of the alameen. What is the alameen? Above all humans, above all jinn, and above angels. The status of the Prophets is even higher than the status of the angels. In one of the proofs to that, the scholars mention that Allah Ta'ala ordered the angels to bow down in respect, not in worship, but in respect to Prophet Adam alayhi salam. And this is an indication for those intelligent people who understand the meaning of this religion, that the highest status is given to the prophets. Their status is even higher than that of the angels, because it was the angels who were ordered to bow down, to prostrate in respect to them. In the past, it was permissible for a man or woman to prostrate to another Muslim with a sense of respect. But in the Shari'at of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, this has become forbidden. Prophet Yaqub ﷺ, his wife and his children, they came from Asham to Egypt when Yusuf ﷺ had a high position in that government at that time, and they made sujood for the Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam. This does not mean they worshipped him. Of course not. This means that it's a sign of respect. And the scholars of Al-Islam said that this is also a sign that Yusuf alayhi salam was given a higher status than his father, who was also a Nabi, Prophet Yaqub alayhi salam. We spoke previously about the many attributes of the Prophets that it's incumbent upon every Muslim to know. I'll review this very briefly. Al-Islam, all the Prophets were Muslim. Intelligence, the Prophets were the most intelligent. Trustworthiness, they never betrayed their trusts. They always spoke the haqq. Deliverance of message, they never withheld what they were ordered to deliver to their people. Honesty and courage, they were the most honest people, and they were very courageous. Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam did not migrate, did not move to Al-Madinah because he had fear of the kuffar, of the non-believers. He did not migrate to Al-Madinah because his energy and his enthusiasm in spreading the da'wah amongst the kuffar was becoming weak. No, the Prophets always are strong in their iman, in their energy. They stay strong, and they do not give up. They're not quitters. They're not quitters. And Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam moved to Al-Madinah, even though his heart was in love with Mecca. The Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam loved Mecca so much. This was his birthplace. This was a place of great significance to him. This is the place most loved by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But the Prophet alayhi as-salatu was-salam was ordered to move to Al-Madinah, and he did so following the orders of Allah, and not because of fear of the non-Muslims. The Prophet was the most courageous Muslim. He was the most courageous Muslim. In the battlefields, the Sahaba al-Kiram, the companions, would stand behind him and fight as if he was a lion and they were cubs behind him. And they admitted that. This is the admission of the companions of the Prophet. They described the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam as a great warrior in the battles. And he's the most courageous of the creation, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So his move from Mecca to Medina, his move north to the city of Al-Madinah, was not a move out of fear or despair or loss of energy in a da'wah, but rather it was a move for the sake of Allah, following the orders of Allah. And by that move there was great benefits for the religion of Islam, for the government of Al-Islam to be established in Al-Madinah, for the spread of da'wah between Muslims, between the non-Muslims of the different tribes who existed in Al-Madinah and the surrounding area. All the prophets were wise and they were beautiful. They were the most handsome of the creation. And they had miracles, and we spoke about this previously, and we will inshallah go into more detail in the future. And they had revelations. They spoke to the angel Jibreel alayhi salam, Gabriel, as known in English. And Jibreel alayhi salam is known as Malakul Wahi, the angel of revelation. And between the angels, amongst the angels, Jibreel alayhi salam holds the highest status. Amongst the prophets, Prophet Muhammad is the highest, and amongst the angels, Angel Jibreel alayhi salam holds the highest status. And of course, amongst all the creation, Prophet Muhammad still is up there on the top, higher than all of the creation, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So today, inshallah, we'll mention briefly impossible characteristics of the prophets. And why do we do this? Because, why are we mentioning this here? Because a Muslim has to know what to attribute to the prophets, what he can say about the prophets, and what he cannot say about the prophets. The prophets are not ordinary people. They are people, but they're the best of people. They're the highest ranking people. In physical attributes, in moral character, in strength, in religious insight, in all of the human qualities, they held the greatest honors, peace and blessings be upon them. The prophets never associated partners with Allah. And you may think, this is obvious. And it is. But I've read in books speaking of the prophets that claim that at one time or another the prophets worshipped other than Allah. It is said, they said in some books, it is said that Prophet Ibrahim worshipped other than Allah. They said he worshipped the star and then the sun. He worshipped the star and then the moon and then the sun, and then finally he was guided to worship Allah. Be careful. Be careful. This may be the case with us, with the normal average Muslim who may be in a state of misguidance and then be led to the light of guidance. But with the prophets, this is impossible. Why? Because since they were young, they always knew, they always believed, they were always firm on La ilaha illallah, on the greatness and the oneness and of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So they never associated partners with Allah. They never doubted or disbelieved in Allah. They say in some books, it is said that Prophet Muhammad used to go to the cave and ask, he used to contemplate and say, who made me? What was I made for? What will happen to me? This is not permissible to say about Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam or any other prophets. Be warned against that. We cannot say, we have to be very careful about what to attribute to the prophets, and we have to know that there are things that are impossible to attribute to them. Committing enormous committing enormous sins. The prophets never commit enormous sins. Not before their prophethood, not before they received the wahi, and not after they received the wahi. Prophet Jesus alayhi salam never drank alcohol. Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam never intended to disobey Allah, to do anything evil with that woman that tried to seduce him. Be careful, be warned about the mistranslations of Al-Qur'an. I ask Allah to have mercy on us, to protect our iman, to enlighten our hearts with Al-Qur'an and As-Sunnah, walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.